I work for a cryogenics corporation called Headway. You might have heard of them. They have facilities all over the place. They started out in the 2020s doing crypto mining, and then they moved into building data centers for AI companies. And now one of the AI companies owns them, and they focus on cryogenics. All of these cryogenics companies started out as crypto companies. And I used to think that they would put AI on the heads and tell folks they were really alive, like a trick. But I've seen too much freaky shit with this job, and I stopped doubting them. All I know is I don't want them touching my body after I'm gone. Put me in the ground, burn me up, or feed me to the poor. I guess I ought to tell you what it is that I do. Headway buys up large plots of land all over the world to build their facilities. But before they buy a place, they need to make sure that the location is suitable. They send out their development professionals to check the place out. They got geotech folks, engineers, surveyors, hydrologists, and all of that. You'd think with all their AI, they wouldn't need to have actual humans doing this stuff. That AI can only make educated guesses, and if there's no actual data to analyze, then AI is up the creek. Some of these places haven't had eyes on them in decades, much less reliable environmental data collection. What I do is called Spectral Palpation. When I was hired, I'd never heard of it because it's so new. They had to explain it to me, and truthfully, I still don't get all of it. Basically, I'm trying to find out if there are high concentrations of neutrino leaks at a location. They say that time isn't a straight line from the Big Bang till the heat death of the universe. It's more like 1 billion long spaghetti noodles that connect with each other and get tied in knots and split off from themselves, all boiling in a pot, real slow. There's some places in the world where the noodles fold in on themselves too many times and reality can interfere with itself. So if there's too many neutrinos in a spot, that might indicate that reality might be too complicated, and that can fuck with the Headway storage facilities. I have to take a special kind of camera out that can blast charged astroparticles onto everything. Then, when they bounce back, the rate of return tells me how many neutrinos are present. But what I've seen with this camera would shatter your mind. I've seen the past and I've seen the future, and I've seen things that can't be explained. One thing I like to do before I visit a site is go out and speak to the locals. Yesterday I found a little meet and three up the road and asked the lady at the register if she knew this spot. She turned right around and went to the back of the house. Didn't say a word. I thought I'd pissed her off. But she came back with one of the cooks. He had a family tie to the place. In the 20th century it had been an orphanage, and his great-grandfather and his great-grandaunt lived there. There were apparently so many deaths and injuries to the kids that they just stopped taking in new kids, and eventually it shut down. Since then, it's just been sitting there neglected. His story got even darker. There was a ghost that terrorized his great-grandfather and his sister. It was said to be the ghost of a child that was torn to pieces by the other orphans. He was a bad seed. He'd supposedly killed 2 other children and gotten away with it. The ghost had tormented the place, and his great-grandfather and great-grandaunt fled one night through the woods. At one point they separated, and they never saw one another again. The cook said he'd tried finding out if she'd lived through genetic testing and family tree research, but there was just no record of her outside of the orphanage. Some folks point to this technology and try and disprove stuff like ghosts and angels and UFOs or even free will, but they haven't stood where I have and seen what I've seen. These places aren't just where timelines converge. There's something here already that makes them converge. The pathways towards the future are narrower, and the dead and the unborn are more certain. But the unexplainable becomes more certain too. Can anything or anyone ever go missing if everything exists at the same time? Is it possible that tragedy can take physical form? Can we become the very ghosts that haunt us?